The Champions League is finally back. I'm very excited to have this competition back because it's been a while since we've seen some Champions League action. We will be covering the Matchday 5 matches. The standouts this week are Chelsea versus Barcelona, and we have Arsenal versus Bayern. So let's get straight into the video. Hopefully you enjoy. If you do, drop a like. Now let's start off with Ajax versus Benfica. This game should be fairly even, honestly, so let's get started with Ajax. They have been honestly quite horrible in this competition, playing 4 matches, losing every single one of them, which is crazy. It's really crazy, honestly, to me, seeing their downfall happen just like this. Like, at the moment, they are sitting all the way in 36th place, all the way at the bottom of the league phase, dead last. Last game they played Galatasaray and they lost 3-0. Now they allowed Osimhen to bag a hat-trick against them, so things really need to change for this Ajax team very soon. Onto Benfica, they have had quite a horrible season so far in the Champions League. Just like Ajax, they have lost all 4 of their matches in the Champions League. They were doing pretty decent last season, but they have lost players. Now last game they played against Leverkusen and they lost 1-0. It was super unlucky to lose that game because Benfica, I think, were the better side. Leverkusen only had 2 shots on target all game, so Benfica had so many chances, they just could not put it in the net. Then Leverkusen went on to get a scrappy kind of goal, which is unlucky, but my prediction is going to be a 1-1 draw between the two. Now Galatasaray versus Union St. Gilloise. I think this game should be a fairly decent game, so let's get started with Galatasaray. They've been actually pretty good this season, turning up with huge wins in the campaign already. They won 1-0 versus Liverpool and 3-0 versus Ajax. Osimhen has been on absolute fire in this competition. In the last game he managed to bag a hat-trick against Ajax, and he's now the top goal scorer in the Champions League with 6 goals combined. So keep an eye out for Galatasaray because I think they are a very underrated team. Onto Union St. Gilloise. They have not been doing the best this season. At the moment they're sitting in 28th place in the league phase. To be fair, they have had some tough matches so far. Like last game they played Atletico Madrid and they lost 3-1, but before that they played Inter, Newcastle and PSV, and the only win was a 3-1 win against PSV. So this will be yet another test against a informed team. Now my prediction is going to be a 3-1 win for Galatasaray. Moving on to Bodo Glimt versus Juventus. This should be a fairly tight game, I should say. Now let's get started with Bodo Glimt. They have not been the best in this competition so far, getting 2 draws and 2 losses, which is not ideal at all. Like last game they played Monaco and they lost 1-0. They did fairly well, honestly, just they could not finish their chances. They were very underrated last year in the Europa League, so I do believe they could somehow turn it around, but they gotta get through Juventus first off. Now onto Juventus, they're not doing too well in the Champions League so far, winless in 4 matches with 3 draws and a single loss. Now Juventus are very reliant on Kenan Yildiz playing from the left wing position to make a lot of things happen for them. Apart from that, not much happens when they don't have Yildiz playing. What will happen if Yildiz manages to move to another club? They're gonna be in a bit of trouble. Now last game they played Sporting and they drew 1-1, but look at the stats. Juventus have had 10 shots on target compared to 2 of Sporting's in their last match. They just gotta take their chances more, honestly, be more clinical. I believe in that game Vlahovic was the only goal scorer. My prediction for this match is gonna be a 2-2 draw between the two. Alright, moving on to Napoli versus Qarabag. This game, in my opinion, should only be going one way, so let's get started with Napoli. They have not been too good in this competition. It's crazy because they are the reigning Italian champions. They got smoked 6-2 by PSV 2 weeks ago, which is quite crazy. Now last game they played Frankfurt and they drew 0-0. A team with this kind of quality should be doing better, not drawing against Frankfurt. Then you got McTominay in this team, who scored a absolutely incredible bicycle kick for Scotland in the qualifiers. Scotland qualified for the World Cup, so he has been one of Napoli's main and important players in the squad. Onto Qarabag. This is a squad that came out of nowhere and performed. Very underrated team, we could call them, honestly. Like, they are sitting in 15th place at the moment in the league phase table, which is pretty good considering we have not seen this team in recent times in the Champions League. Now last game they played Chelsea and they drew 2-2. I honestly expected Chelsea to have that win in the bag. This team just seems very clinical in front of goal. I'm speaking about Qarabag. Every time they get a chance, it just seems like they're gonna take it and score the goal. But definitely we have to keep an eye on this Qarabag team. But my prediction is gonna be a 2-1 win for Qarabag. Moving on to Marseille versus Newcastle, one of the most underrated matches this week. So let's get started with Marseille. They have been quite a underrated side, I would say, this competition. They've not been doing the best so far though. Like last game they played Atalanta and they lost 1-0, but they got some absolute ballers on the team though. Greenwood has been one of them. He's been performing quite well overall, but this team, whenever I watch them, they kind of have a different kind of style of play. It's a lot more direct at times. But onto Newcastle, they've been quite solid in the Champions League, sitting all the way in 6th place, which is very impressive. Woltemata has been balling out for them. Absolutely amazing signing. He's overall a very strong forward. Now last game they played Athletic Club and they managed to win 2-0. Dan Burn, like, that goal was absolutely out of this world. He did a finesse header. I swear he's the only guy in world football that I've seen do a finesse header. That's outrageous. Now overall, they're a very strong team defensively as well in this competition. They have only conceded 2 goals in 4 matches, which is pretty solid. Now my prediction is going to be a 2-1 win for Newcastle. Moving on to Dortmund versus Villarreal. This is going to be quite a good game, so let's get started with Dortmund. They've been doing pretty decent so far. I would always consider them like a quite a underrated team. Every single year I see them in this competition, I always say they're a underrated team or a underdog team. Now Adeyemi is a very dangerous player with his pace and his dribbling. If you see him running at you, it's scary times. Then you got Guirassy, who just finished top goal scorer in the Champions League last season. But last game, they had a tough loss against Man City, which ended 4-1. Dortmund did struggle. They only had 1 shot on target in that game, so this game I could see them doing a lot better. Now onto Villarreal. They have been quite horrible this season, if we're being honest, not winning a single game out of 4 played so far. That leaves them all the way in 32nd place with 1 draw and 3 losses. Like last game they played Paphos, they lost 1-0, very disappointing. You have a quality team and they can't win. It's just not good enough. Although they did dominate most of the games, they were just not clinical enough in front of goal. Now the big players with Nicolas Pepe, Mctowedze, etc., they gotta step up in these upcoming matches, because if they want to somehow make it into the next round, they have to step up. Now my prediction is going to be a 3-1 win for Dortmund. Moving on to Chelsea versus Barcelona. This game is going to be a absolute banger, so let's get started with Chelsea. They've been pretty decent in this competition. They had a rough start as they played Bayern and they lost 3-1, which is arguably the best team in the world at the moment. But last game they played Qarabag and they drew 2-2. So I think Cole Palmer should be coming back very soon, if not for this game. But Chelsea have been playing some quite clean football. They have Caicedo, who's been one of the best CDMs in the world the past 2 seasons or so. Moving on to Barcelona, they've been doing quite well, playing some very nice attacking football, as they always do. Defensively, that backline does get exposed with the offside traps. Sometimes, like last game against Club Brugge, they drew 3-3, and Forbes, he exposed that backline because that backline was pushing up so much, and he just timed his run so perfectly, and he got himself a brace. Now Lamine Yamal, he seems like he was gonna be coming back to his best in this game, so he scored a absolutely incredible solo goal running through most of the team against Club Brugge. Now we got some good news for Barcelona fans. Pedri and Rafinha are rumored to be back this game as well, so even more firepower attacking wise is going to be great for this game. So my prediction is going to be a high scoring 3-2 win for Barcelona. Moving on to Man City versus Leverkusen. This game should be quite decent, so let's get started with Man City. They've been doing quite well in this competition, sitting in 4th place within the league phase table. Form wise, it's been pretty decent as well. Last game they played Dortmund, and they beat them 4-1. Phil Foden scoring a brace, getting back to his old self. We're starting to see that old Phil Foden that we saw the past few seasons. Now Haaland, it's not even a surprise at this point. Haaland is scoring nearly every single game. Then you have Cherki, who made a great impact on the team creatively as well. I think he chipped in with a goal as well. Now on to Leverkusen. They've been doing alright in the Champions League, getting quite a bit of draws, I'm not gonna lie, which is better than a loss. But last game though, they secured a 1-0 win versus Benfica. Now the goal scorer being Patrick Schick. That guy's been there for absolute years, but in that game they basically scored their only open chance, despite Benfica having way more attempts than Leverkusen. But the result is all that matters pretty much in football. Now this game versus City is going to be a huge challenge for Leverkusen, so my prediction is going to be a 3-1 win for Man City. Moving on to Slavia Praha versus Athletic Club. Not really sure which way this is going to be going, but let's start off with Slavia Praha. They don't seem to be doing the best, sitting in 30th place with 2 draws and 2 losses, but I swear they were an underrated team before, but maybe not anymore. But last game they played Arsenal and they lost 3-0. Slavia Praha did not have many open chances to score. Honestly, they lack some creativity in their attack. Maybe in this game versus Athletic Club we will see more of Slavia Praha, who knows. Moving on to Athletic Club, they have not been doing the best. Form wise, they have been quite rough, if we're being honest. They're sitting all the way in 29th place in the league phase table. Last game they played against Newcastle and they lost 2-0 at St. James's Park, which is a tough place to go. They were missing Nico Williams and Inaki Williams as well, 2 very important players who play a key role in that team. Now Athletic Club did have many chances, they were just not able to score them. Now Adama had a incredible half volley shot, but it hit the post. That would have been an absolute banger. But my prediction is going to be a 2-1 win for Athletic Club. Moving on to Paphos versus Monaco. This game should be quite a tight one, so let's get started with Paphos. They have been actually quite decent so far, sitting in 20th place in the league phase table. Just want to mention it is their first season in the Champions League as well. Like last game they played Villarreal and they beat them 1-0, which is quite impressive considering their quality. But this could potentially be a underrated team or a underdog team. Now on to Monaco. They have not been doing too bad in this competition, sitting just above Paphos in 19th place. But this is a team with quite a bit of young talent as well. We have Pogba though, who will be returning into the team very soon. Maybe he will play in this match, we will have to see. Last game they played Bodo Glimt and they won 1-0. Balogun bagging a goal in that match. He's a proper scorer for this team. Now my prediction is going to be a 2-0 win for Monaco. Moving on to Copenhagen versus Kairat. This game could end up being quite even, so let's get started with Copenhagen. They have not been doing too good at all so far, sitting almost dead last in the league phase table in 33rd place. They have not managed a single win so far in this competition. And last game they played against Tottenham, it was a pretty rough one, honestly. They managed to lose 4-0 against Tottenham. They were quite underrated last year, but this year it's just a different story. Now onto Kairat, they have not been doing too well as well. Now this is their first time, I believe, in the Champions League as well. It's been a challenge for them on the first time, because at the moment they are sitting in 34th place in the league phase table. So last game they had a rough opponent as well, facing off against Inter Milan, and they lost that game 2-1. So this game could be a winnable game, honestly, for them. But my prediction is going to be a 1-0 win for Kairat. Moving on to Olympiacos versus Real Madrid. This game, personally, I think it's going to be going one way. So let's get started with Olympiacos. They are another team doing not the best, sitting all the way in 31st place with 2 draws and 2 losses. You could consider them a decent team, it's just they have not done too well so far, so they need to pick it up, in my opinion. So last game they played PSV and they drew 1-1. Now a player who we haven't heard from in a while is Gelson Martins, who used to play for Sporting. He scored the goal for Olympiacos in that game, and man, that's a player I've not heard of in quite a while. Now on to Real Madrid, they have been doing pretty well, honestly, sitting in 7th place, which isn't too bad. Mbappe, as we all know, has been balling out for the club. He's been banging goals. Like last game they played Liverpool, honestly they were quite awful. They got dominated in that game. Madrid ended up losing that game 1-0, which was surprising. Jude Bellingham is also back, which is a huge boost. Now Vinicius has been quite worrisome with his behavior, with him being subbed off in the past few matches. Now his form has been terrible as well, so he needs to definitely step it up. Now my prediction is going to be a 3-0 win for Real Madrid. Moving on to Sporting versus Club Brugge. This game definitely is going to be underrated. So let's get started with Sporting. They have been doing quite decent so far, performing quite well considering they have key players that left last season. And last game they played Juventus and then they managed a 1-1 draw. I mean, that's a pretty solid point to take against the quality Juventus side. Sporting were quite clinical, honestly, but Juventus seemed like they had more chances. Still, they got a point out of it, which is a positive. Now Trincao is a super important player creatively with his dribbling and his passing as well. Now onto Club Brugge. They have been quite underrated this season. They have been doing not too bad so far, getting 1 win, 1 draw, 2 losses in the Champions League. The last game versus Barcelona was absolutely crazy. They got a 3-3 draw versus Barcelona, which is not bad, honestly. Carlos Forbes was super good at exposing the Barcelona offside trap, hence why he got a brace against them. Now my prediction for this match is going to be a 2-1 win for Club Brugge. Now Eintracht Frankfurt versus Atalanta is the next game. This should be quite the game, so let's get started with Eintracht Frankfurt. They have been not the best in this competition so far. They lost 2 games in past weeks, 5-1 back-to-back weeks. It's crazy. 1 game against Atletico Madrid and the other one versus Liverpool. Now last game they played Napoli and they drew 0-0, which I would say is a not bad result at all. They kind of have to turn their form around in this match right here. Now onto Atalanta. They have been doing well, honestly, so far, sitting all the way in 16th place at the moment. Now their form wise as of recent has been very good. Like last game they played Marseille and they won it 1-0. Was a very late winner with Samardzic, I think that's how you say his name, scoring the goal. Apart from that, they only had 1 shot on target. With the quality players they have to do better, in my opinion. Now my prediction is going to be a 1-1 draw between the two. Moving on to Liverpool versus PSV. This game, in my opinion, it could go either way. So let's get started with Liverpool. They're doing pretty well in the Champions League so far, sitting all the way in the 8th place. I thought it was honestly lower, but they're doing not too bad. Form wise, they've been doing quite well. Last game they played Real Madrid, which was a huge challenge. They really brought it to Real Madrid, and honestly they dominated that game. Real Madrid could barely get any chances. Now they managed to win that game 1-0 as well with a McAllister goal. Now they should take that form and move into this match and realistically win it. Now onto PSV, they're doing not too bad. They've been getting quite a few draws in this competition. Like last game they played Olympiacos and they drew 1-1. They did not create too many chances in that match, but I always say they're a very strong team offensively, so we need to see more creating from them, and once we see them creating, it's going to be dangerous. Now this is going to be a huge challenge for PSV, but in my opinion I think they're going to be up for it and they're going to fight for this win. Now my prediction for this match is going to be a 3-2 win for Liverpool. Moving on to Atletico Madrid versus Inter. This game is a absolutely amazing one. It could go either way, so let's get started with Atletico Madrid. They've been doing quite alright in the Champions League. Now at the moment they are sitting all the way in 17th place. Alvarez has been a standout player for the squad. Honestly, I believe he's been carrying the squad in a way. Now last game they played Union St. Galois and they won 3-1. They dominated the match completely. With that result coming in, I think they will most likely carry it into this match against Inter. Now onto Inter, they've been a very strong team once again this season. At this point, it's just a every single year thing. At the moment, they are sitting in 3rd place with just 1 goal conceded. Despite them having a change in managers, they are still solid defensively. Now last game they played Kairat and they won 2-1. Now the main man Lautaro Martinez scoring in that match, and also Carlos Augusto. I could see Inter being contenders again for the Champions League title, but maybe it's a little bit too soon to say. But my prediction is going to be a 2-1 win for Inter. Moving on to Arsenal versus Bayern, the biggest game this week, hands down. So let's get started with Arsenal. I would say they're one of the best teams in the world. Have conceded only 0 goals in 4 matches in the Champions League. That's absolutely insane. Now a big blow is that Gabriel is going to be out for this match. He's going to be out for like 2 months. Unfortunately, he got injured in the international break with Brazil in a pointless friendly game. Now last game Arsenal played Slavia Praha and they won 3-0. Now Marino stepped up with a brace in place of Gyökeres. Speaking of Gyökeres, he's injured, but he might be coming back for this game against Bayern. Who knows? But let's see if Bayern will be the team to score against Arsenal, because Arsenal have not conceded, as I mentioned before. So will Bayern be the first team to score on Arsenal in the Champions League? Onto Bayern, I would call them the best team actually in the world at the moment. With the way they're moving both in the Bundesliga and the Champions League, it's actually crazy. Like the quality in this team is insane as well, especially that front three. That front three might be the best front three in the world at the moment. We got Kane, Luis Diaz and Elise. All of them have been on absolute fire this season. Now last game Bayern played PSG and they won 2-1 with a red card as well. Now that red card came from Luis Diaz. Luis Diaz also scored both goals in that match, so he's gonna be out for this match as well. So these team just a very free-flowing team. Attacking wise, everything is looking incredible for this team, so I'm kind of scared Bayern might beat my team Arsenal, but hopefully not. This match is going to be absolutely crazy. I'm going to go with Arsenal winning this game 2-1. Come on, the Gunners. Now moving on to the last match, we have PSG versus Tottenham. Now this is another solid one. Let's get started with PSG. They are the reigning champions of the Champions League, so still looking quite strong in the competition, although they did lose to Bayern like 2-1 last game. Hakimi suffered a awful injury. Hopefully he is good. Speedy recovery to him. And Desiree Doué is out for this game as well for quite a bit of time, which is another blow attacking wise. But overall, they still have lots of quality all over the pitch. And as we all know, they're probably the best team in the world in terms of playing beautiful football. Now on to Tottenham. They're actually doing quite well in this competition. Surprisingly, they are undefeated as well so far. That's something you don't hear from Tottenham often. Now, they seemed very dominant in that game against Copenhagen, which they won 4-0. It's a very good scoreline to win, and they do seem like they are scoring a lot of set pieces as well recently. Van de Ven has been such a key player defensively and also offensively in terms of those set pieces. He's been getting on them a lot. Now, they will not have Brennan Johnson in this match as he got a red card in the last match, so it's going to be a huge challenge for Tottenham, but my prediction is going to be a 3-1 win for PSG. So thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you did enjoy the video. Don't forget to drop a like, comment down below all your predictions for these matches, and hopefully you do enjoy the video. Don't forget to subscribe as well, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.